Hello, I'm Ale and welcome to Solocosenove. It's time for vacations. I won't let plants die on my balcony, so I created this drip irrigation system. What's the problem and the solutions? Every year on vacation times, I let some plants die on my balcony. Worst thing is that in this time they are on their best, big and beautiful. I'm crying inside. I evaluated different methods during the years to keep them alive. Usually they work for a few days, others are complete failure. This year it's time to make something new that works. Drip irrigation system on balcony. I think this system is the best for my needs. My plan is to live for a month, and I have many plants. I really can't bring them to another person for plant sitting, and no one can come here to water them. This system has many pros. It drastically reduces the water consumption, and I really love this thing. You can adjust the quantity of water for each plant. It can be used with a timer, and in my case it will be connected with the domotic system of my home. It's quite cheap. Just pay attention to these two requirements: water and electricity. Let's start with water. Best thing is to use the water system where possible, but do not exceed the pressure of 1 bar. And usually a home water system is around 3 bar. In this case, you must buy also a pressure reducer. They're very cheap and connect to the tap. In my case, I used a water tank and a simpler Aquarius water pump. I don't have a faucet on the balcony, so this is mandatory for me. The tank should be large enough to contain the water that lasts for this period. Electricity. You need this for the timer and to open and close the valve. If you already have the socket, you're okay and really lucky. Of course, you can also use a photovoltaic system with a battery. We saw something like this with the S700 of the All Powers. I'll leave the video here. Of course, there are already made systems for this kind of thing, but in my case I just use a Sonoff with Home and Home Assistant. The Sonoff turns on the system controlled by the host pump, and the timer is on Home Assistant. But we already saw this kind of software in previous videos. Here you are a list of the materials. It's long, but don't panic because it's quite easier to mount. This is my case, but you can adapt it to your needs. A water pump or a programmer if you already have a water system, a water tank, an half-inch tube, half-inch cap, half-inch T or L connections, a tube punch, a 6mm capillary tube, straight or T connection for the microtube, pickets for the microtube. They are very important. A lot of drippers, optionally half-inch faucet, and if you need the pressure reducer. This plastic box is the tank I chose. It can contain at least 90 liters of water, and this is the water pump. I'll leave you some link down here in the description, as I usually do. It's strong enough to bring the water in every point of my irrigation system. Here I'm measuring the half-inch tube to know where to cut it. I cut it with a knife because it's quite soft, but I had to use the lighter to soften it, so it's really easier to mount on the reducer. I connect the half-inch tube to my water pump, and the first phase of this project is ended. Obviously, I should make a hole on the lid of the container. I used the drill with a proper tool, and here it is, the half-inch tube in the hole. I used an L connection and this little faucet. I thought it could be useful to close the entire system. Then I used the plastic ties to tighten the tubes. but of course you can also use the steel one. Let's add the cap on the half-inch tube, and with the tube punch I makes every hole to add the T connections and add the micro tube that brings the water inside the vases. Of course, you should cut the microtube in the right size to reach the point you need. And well, I used the T connection in the microtubes because I need to use it with a vase on one side and another on the other side. These are the drippers I chose. They come in many shapes and in different characteristics. Then I add these pickets, but you can also make them by yourself with iron wire or something like that. And this is the result of my dripping irrigation system. For a vase of 60 centimeter I use 4 lines. It took some time to fill the 90 liters containers, and it's time to test it to see it working. Of course, it's time to adjust the quantity of water. Well, I can start it with my cell phone on Home Assistant. And this was my first test. After this, the balcony was filled by my plants, because I really a lot of plants, but I'm very happy that it works. But in the meantime, if you liked this video, please leave a thumb up, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you won't miss any content like this and help the channel to grow. Thanks! Furthermore, on the website solocosenove.it you can find everything about Solocosenove world. Final considerations. I always wanted to realize this project, but I always feared it. I thought it was very complicated. Instead, it was very easy, maybe too much. Now it's time to leave for the vacations, and don't worry. For every questions and doubt, please leave me a comment down here. I'll try to answer to everyone. Thank you for following me and see you in the next exciting video. Ciao!